Hi there, so I'm making this video because I have seen the live stream between Joy and Onision, and then I've seen what happened afterwards when Lainey was talking about Joy. I've seen Onision's reaction videos, I've seen what Joy has been saying, and to be honest, I'm so fed up and so pissed off at Onision right now. It is ridiculous. So, I'm nearly 25, right? And some of the things that the younger girls were saying is so typically teenager. It's ridiculous, right? They're like, oh well, age isn't an issue, and you're okay talking about her age like it's a problem. Like, why do you do that? Because it is a problem, okay? The stuff that you guys are saying, you're 16, yeah? The stuff that you guys are saying is very typically teenager, right? When you hit around 22, 23, maybe a little bit older than that, you'll realise the stuff you're saying and the stuff you're doing and the things that you think are okay really aren't okay. They're really, really, really not. And the age gaps and stuff like that is really not okay. But because you're younger and you have a different perspective, and it's really not good. It really is a problem, and you will understand that when you're older. And I think what really annoys me is that Onision is older. He should know better. He's an adult. He should know better. He should act better. He should talk better. He should not do the behaviours that he does, but he still does, and he is manipulative. He is rude. He is clearly, well, he clearly has or exhibits some narcissistic behaviours. Now, what I think is interesting is whether that is actually his behaviour or whether it's a portrayed behaviour. So what I mean by that is, if what Lainey was saying in the live stream, that, Greg isn't like that, and, he's actually really nice and this and that, and that he's lovely, well then his behaviours that he exhibits on the internet and what he shows out to the public is completely different, right? And it's like, well, which is the real him? Is it that? Or is it what Lainey says he is? Or is he only that way with Lainey? A, because she perceives it that way because she's got rose-tinted goggles, as the saying goes. Or is it that he doesn't behave in that way to her because he likes her and he's manipulating her to the point she doesn't see it? And is there elements of gaslighting there? Because there could be. Gaslighting is awful, and you don't see gaslighting, A, unless you have kind of not witnessed it, but you've experienced it yourself, and you then come out of that and you've then realised, or if if you've experienced it in the past and then it happens again and you know what the warning signs are, then you pick up on it. But if in the moment, you don't know that you're being gaslighted. That's the point. So I guess where I'm going with that is, either A, Greg really does not behave that way with Lainey, and it is a character he plays, in which case he really needs to look at how he portrays himself online. He needs to look at his behaviours online, because it is very influencing to other people, especially younger girls and boys, and it's very concerning because other people who are older, like Joy and Jeff and other people like that, it is concerning, and we worry about the welfare of these younger girls. So that's one situation where it is, all an act, and that isn't actually how he is in real life. The other is that the reason why Lainey doesn't think he's like that is because he gaslights. Now, I could see that being a thing, and that's in no way disrespecting Lainey, because when you're being gaslighted, you don't see it. It's very hard to come out of that. You can't, unless you've experienced it yourself and you know the warning signs, or Sometimes something will happen and all of a sudden you'll be like, oh goodness, I'm being gaslighted or whatever. So that's not Lainey's fault if she's being gaslighted. Being gaslighted is horrible. Oh, that's a freaking fly. It really is. Like, being gaslighted is awful. So that's one thing, and that's one possible explanation as to why Lainey doesn't think it's that way. Or another being that she genuinely really does believe it because she's so not under a spell, but she's just so oblivious to it all, and that isn't the same as gaslighted as such. This is more where she kind of not enables it. Well, she clearly does enable some of the behaviours, but she kind of enables it, and she's kind of part of things herself and stuff like that. And I guess in terms of how I perceive Lainey currently, it actually has changed my view on her behaviour and stuff like that, and it actually it's upset me a bit. So, like, in terms of how she was acting on Joy's stream, sorry, I have had to just change arms, I was getting arm ache, and how she acted after Joy's live stream really showed her true colours. Like, really showed her true colours, and I was actually quite disappointed, and it really reminded me of several narcissistic, well, they're not friends anymore, people that I know that I have experienced in the past. It is very reminiscent of them, but I don't see Lainey actually as a narcissist, but I see her as exhibiting some behaviours as a defence mechanism because of the things that's happening. I also think that she hides behind and uses her mental illnesses as an excuse for inappropriate and rude behaviour. So she was saying that she was having anxiety attacks and stuff like that. Well, actually, I don't think so. She was saying she was having an anxiety attack, a panic attack during Joy's live stream. Now, either she has them very well controlled, or B, she was lying. That was not it did not look to be an anxiety attack. That was just having a case of anxiety and panic because you were being put into a position you didn't really want to be in. Yes, you started shaking a bit and you were a little bit teary. Yeah, that's anxiety. It's horrible. Having anxiety is awful. I have PTSD and anxiety and other stuff. I get it. I genuinely get it. But that did not look like an anxiety attack. An anxiety attack, you can't breathe. You physically cannot stop yourself from shaking. You wouldn't have been able to talk. You literally cannot focus on anything. And yet you could. Yes, you were a bit shaky. Yes, you seemed nervous. But that is very different to an anxiety attack. It is very different. And to hide behind your mental illness like that, it just bugs me, because too many people nowadays do that, and too many people use their mental illness as an excuse, which is what Greg was doing before. Like, Greg was trying to use her mental illness as an excuse for lying. No, that is not an excuse for lying at all. I have memory problems, really bad. I have fibromyalgia just like Joy does, and my memory problems and my mental illnesses are not an excuse for lying. They may be an excuse if I get a couple of facts wrong, or if I forget something and I get something muddled up. That's not lying, that's different. But for her to deliberately lie about things, it's different. There is a difference between forgetting something and lying. There's a difference. And they seem to like to use mental health as an excuse for lying, and like to twist lying and forgetfulness and stuff like that in together, and it's not the same, and it's just wrong. So yeah, that's kind of that side of things which really bothered me. I guess what is kind of frustrating me currently is that Onision seems to think that he won and that he has the moral high ground. I'm sorry, dude, you don't have any moral high ground. You have clearly done a lot of sketchy things, and you have said and done some really not nice things, and that debate that you had with Joy was not a debate at all. In a debate, you do not swear constantly, you do not talk over people, you do not constantly call people an idiot, you don't insult them, you don't refuse to acknowledge their disability and then try and find out whether it's true or not and try and call them a liar and then try and say that they have a mental health problem when no they don't. And you were so disrespectful in terms of her disability. I was so angry. I was so unbelievably angry at your behaviour about her fibromyalgia. If I'd have been in the same room as you when that was happening, you would have been smacked. And I don't do that. I'm not a violent person. But you made me so angry by how you were behaving and how you were talking to her. That's just wrong. You don't talk to another human being in that way, even if you dislike them. That's just arrogance and rudeness and just general immaturity. You're an adult. You're older than me. Act like it. You don't act like it. You act like a spoilt brat, and then you acted like you had a tantrum and had a hissy fit and left the conversation because you couldn't deal with the fact that you were being shown up and were being beaten in the debate, if you want to call it a debate, because it was hardly a debate now, was it? You were not debating Joy. All you wanted to do was try and make her cry and try and show her up and insult her and try and insult her intelligence, and it didn't work. Joy sees right through you, and she is one tough cookie, and I think that she is an absolute, I think she's awesome. Yes, she has done some things wrong. Yes, she has gotten some facts incorrect because of stuff that other people have said. Fair enough. She's owned up to it. And that's the difference. She owns up to things when she does wrong. You don't. You like to twist it and, gaslight it and manipulate it to suit your motives. Saying how you've won the debate and this, that and the other. You're trying to damage control. That's all it is. It's damage control because you know you lost. Otherwise you wouldn't have gone off in a strop, would you? You know that you lost. You know that you got shown up. But now it's damage control and you're trying to clear the air and you're gaslighting all of your fans and manipulating what happened to try and suit your agenda and to try and show that you have won when you haven't. You've been shown up massively for who you actually are, and so has your wife. Sorry, I'm just swapping hands. The way that Lainey talked about Joy after the debate was utterly disgusting. Now, yes, I'm backtracking. It's because fibro memory problems. I should probably be doing this off the script, but whatever. The way she talked about Joy after the live stream ended with her was utterly foul. Now, that's two-faced, that's really sneaky, and that's really, that is the kind of person that I absolutely despise. I despise two-faced people. You were saying that Joy was fake and that she was this and she was that. No, that's called being a polite adult, and that's called talking to people with respect and coming across as polite and actually respectful. That's not being fake. That's called being a decent human being. Something which you two don't seem to understand. You don't seem to understand being respectful and being polite and genuine, and you think that it's being fake. And that's because you guys are like that. You guys in no way are respectful or anything that Joy was. If you were behaving like that, you would have been fake because you're not like that. So therefore, you project and you think that she has been fake. That's a typical narcissistic thing to do. But hey, you were just being so rude and you were being so two-faced. If you'd have really thought that, why not say it to her face? Yes, I understand the anxiety and stuff like that, but really, you've got to think that that will come across as massively two-faced and just purely like people are calling you a snake. And while I think that that's a little harsh, it's kind of running true though. Like the way that you talked about Joy when she was gone, foul, immature, and just really quite sad. The fact that you couldn't talk to her as an adult and tell her when she was prompting you, she was asking you to tell her, to talk to her if you had any of the other issues, or if you wanted to clear something up. She was giving you a voice and you couldn't do it. You either didn't have the balls to do it, or you're that two-faced you can't tell someone how they really feel to their face. And yes, I kind of understand the anxiety side of things, but when this is so big and this is so open, and then you publicly smash talk her and are nasty and just say all that stuff when she was nothing but polite to you and you call her fake, no, that doesn't wash, and it comes across as really nasty and really slight. Like it just comes across as really bad, and it has really ruined my view of you, because my view of you was actually very positive and I truly enjoy your channel. I think you're so pretty and I think some of the things that you strive for is fantastic. But after that, no, no. I used to think that you were actually quite a nice human being, but you've shown your true colours now. And what I also thought was interesting was that neither of you could deal with talking to an adult who talked to you like an adult and wanted you to talk back to them like an adult, and neither of you could handle it. And then afterwards, you go running off to children and teenagers and ask for their validation and their respect because you're that immature. You can't deal with adult conversation and you have to have the validation of all these teenagers. And it's that's one thing that really bothers me and actually sickens me a little bit, because you have this cult following of all of these teenagers who don't know any better, and it's really concerning. And the fact that you were seeking this validation from all these children and these teenagers that are so much younger than you, it's rather telling about your mentality and about how you present yourself and the types of friends that you must have and the way that your mind works. And I genuinely think it's concerning, and I genuinely worry for you and for those children. And I think that that's something that other people should be concerned about. The fact that you're seeking validation and you're seeking praise, validation, all of these positive, feelings from children and teenagers. Like, it's, again, I keep going back to narcissism because there are some serious narcissistic traits from both of you, and that's getting your narcissistic feed. You're feeding off all of these young children who don't know any better, who are praising you and bigging you up and stuff like that, and you're feeding off it. You're getting this glow, you feel great, you're being told all this stuff from all these younger children who don't know any better, who only see you as these awesome people and blah blah blah, and all these adults who keep saying that we're not, is just ridiculous. advice, it's not good. Like, they don't have the knowledge, they don't have the life experience that older people do. Getting advice from younger people, children, generally is not a good idea and shows a lot more about your headspace and your mentality than anything else. And I think it's seriously something that you need to look at and consider, because it could also be seen as quite creepy. In all seriousness, it's really quite creepy. But then again, it just kind of it says more about you and your husband, the fact that both of you seek validation from children and teenagers that are far younger than you, especially Greg. Like, it's not good. It's concerning. I need to hurry this up because this video is very long. In terms of the debate, it was not a debate. The fact that Greg is trying to say he won the debate is absurd. It's absolutely absurd. He did not win. He barely had a proper debate. All he did was try and insult Joy, and it backfired, so he had a tantrum and ran off. I think it's ridiculous that he's trying to gaslight his fans into thinking that he won, and I just think that he needs to grow up. Lainey needs to grow up. They both need to take a hard look at their lives and look at their online personas, look at how they are being portrayed and perceived online to their following, and quite frankly, they both need to grow up. I'm not even going to touch upon Lainey's sister because, in all seriousness, she definitely needs to grow up, and she really needs to take a hard look at herself and her anger issues and figure out what it is that she's angry about and why, because some of the things that she said to Joy were just utterly ridiculous, and just some of it was just A, hypocritical, and B, was massively contradictory. So she was just like Greg. She was rude, she was insultive, and, you know, apple doesn't fall far from the branch. But hey, it could all be coping mechanisms from having to be around that. Who knows? So I'm going to go because this is far too long and longer than I expected it to be. I have ranted far long enough. Quick message to Joy, because you are awesome. Well done. Good luck if he tries to debate you again. I really hope he tries to sue you, because it will be absolutely hilarious. And yeah, peace and loves. Bye.